Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the art of understanding people, specifically through a really powerful framework for assessment in biblical counseling. Now, this isn't about just collecting data, it's about seeing the whole person, and we're going to unpack exactly how that works. So here's our roadmap. We're going to talk about why this is so much more than a checklist and how it's all about gathering wisdom, not just testing someone. We'll look at what a whole person framework actually means, get into some of the specialized tools they use, talk about the crucial role of humility, and then finally, we'll land on the ultimate goal, wise transformation. All right, let's jump right into the core idea. You know, when you hear the word assessment, your mind probably goes to checklists, boxes, and labels. Well, this framework, it challenges that entire notion right from the get-go. And this quote just nails it. The goal is completely shifted away from some rush to judgment or diagnosis. Instead, the whole thing is a patient, careful process of understanding. It's less about finding a label and way more about finding the person. So if we're throwing out that rush to label model, what takes its place? Well, the answer is in a pretty fundamental shift, both in the language we use and in how the entire process is structured. And this is such a critical distinction. It's called collaborative wisdom gathering, not testing, and that is so intentional. Testing kind of implies an expert and a subject, right? But this language, it creates a partnership. It's two people on the same side working together to figure out a path forward. And this chart really shows you what that partnership looks like in practice. It's not some rigid, one-size-fits-all thing. The tools are actually chosen based on what the person is going through. So if there's a relational conflict, you use a specific tool for that. If trauma is a part of the story, you turn to assessments designed for body stewardship. It's a responsive, tailored process from the very start. So this collaborative spirit builds into a framework that really tries to see the whole person. It resists that temptation to just isolate a single problem and instead focuses on understanding the complex, interconnected nature of a human life. And this gets right to the heart of the why. The entire approach is grounded in dignity, not dysfunction. It begins with the idea that a person is an image bearer, which totally changes the goal from just fixing a problem to truly understanding a person's entire story. So the assessment explores this whole spectrum of life. Yeah, it looks at personality and relationships, of course, but it also gives serious weight to the physical body. We're talking about sleep, pain, hormones. It considers a person's work and their sense of calling. It's all seen as part of one integrated story, one whole person. And that's really the key takeaway here. The whole point is to appreciate the intricate interplay between suffering, meaning, our bodies, and our choices. It's a model that's designed to avoid simplistic, moralizing answers and instead speak with real humility about the complexities of life. Okay, so you might be wondering, how do you actually gather wisdom about such a complex picture? Well, let's look at some of the specialized tools that are designed for this kind of deep discernment. And believe me, these are far more than just generic questionnaires. This internal dynamics assessment is just a brilliant example. It acts as a kind of crosswalk, translating common psychological concepts into a framework that makes sense for biblical counseling. For instance, an internal manager is reframed as a protective overfunctioning pattern. This creates a shared, meaningful language for the counseling process. Other tools are even more specific, like this one for women. And get this, it's designed to be filled out with the counselor, not just handed over as homework. It intentionally creates a space to explore those deep connections between a woman's body, her story, and her spirit, areas that are, let's be honest, often overlooked. And the level of detail is just profound. It's not just a checkbox for stress. No, it's asking about cycle profiles, specific grief from infertility or childbirth trauma, the physical toll of fatigue or panic, and the immense relational load many women carry. The point isn't to reduce a woman to her body, but to understand and care for her as a whole embodied person. So all of these tools and frameworks lead to what is maybe the most essential part of the entire model, the posture of the counselor. It's not just about the questions you ask, but about the humility with which you hold the answers. This quote just says it all. The goal is faithful discernment, not premature closure. In a world that loves quick answers and easy labels, this approach champions the total opposite, a patient resistance to easy conclusions, honoring the true complexity of a person's life.
You can even see this humility embedded right in the recommended language. Phrases like, the available data suggest, or this pattern may function as, are intentionally non-definitive language. They're designed to foster ongoing curiosity and partnership, not to deliver some final verdict from on high.
So where does all this lead? What's the point of all this deep, collaborative, and humble process of understanding? Well, it all culminates in a transformation plan. But notice the structure. It synthesizes history and observations into an interpretive formulation, which is kind of like a working theory, that then leads to concrete opportunities and practical next steps. The final product isn't a diagnosis, it's a holistic, actionable guide for spiritual, relational, and even physical change. And that really is the heart of it. This entire assessment process isn't about arriving at a destination. It's about carefully, humbly, and collaboratively drawing a map. It's the starting point for a unique journey of healing and growth, which leaves us with a pretty compelling question. What does it truly take to walk that path wisely?